Greetings from Colorado Springs. My name is Lance Kohler. I'm the managing broker of the Cornerstone Real Estate Team. Today I'd like to talk about 5 mistakes that I see do-it-yourself landlords make. Hopefully you can keep yourself from making these same errors. So the first mistake we run across is when a landlord doesn't inspect their property. So if you're managing your rental property, we highly recommend that you inspect the property on a routine basis. It wouldn't make sense to do it every month, but maybe every 6 months, maybe once a quarter if you're highly motivated. You can check things to make sure, like the furnace filter is being changed. Make sure under the sinks that there's no leaks that might not have been noticed by the tenants. And you can confirm or deny routine repair items. And you can look at preventive maintenance items like gutters, exterior paint, trees that are encroaching over the property or maybe rubbing up against the roof, things like that. It's a good practice to make it a routine to go by your property. The second one, tied to that first mistake, is not keeping up with maintenance. So what comes to mind immediately for me is a stitch in time saves 9. So just like I mentioned checking under the sink to see if there's any leaks. That might not be noticed by a tenant. It might just be a small drip. You have a leaking faucet or a drain that isn't centered correctly, and so you have this small drip. It's going to warp the floorboard and may continue through the floor and down to the lower floor. If you're checking on your property routinely, you'll be able to find something like that, identify it early, and get it fixed. A stitch in time saves 9. Another mistake we see is not keeping the funds separate. So if you're managing your rental property and the tenants pay you a security deposit or a pet deposit, and then monthly they're paying you rent, that rent income is absolutely yours. You can do with it what you want. I would recommend you put it in a separate account and that you set aside some of that each month for repairs or for emergencies. That would be a great idea, but that money, the rent income, is yours to It's your money. That's what they're paying you to live there. But the security deposit, at least in the state of Colorado, is not your money. That's the tenant's money that you are holding for them for the completion of the lease, to guarantee the completion of the lease and abiding by all the lease terms. So I would highly recommend you put that in a separate account and don't touch it. It's not your money. And if the tenants move out, and there's no damage to your property, you've got to return it to them. So if you've already spent that, now you've got to find somewhere to get that money. So highly recommend keeping funds separate. Another error or mistake that we see often is do-it-yourself landlord not screening the tenants. And by screening, I mean you're vetting them, you're running an application, you're looking at the credit score, their financial, do they have enough income to afford the property, doing a background check, that sort of thing. We see, we'll take over properties sometimes from a do-it-yourself landlord, and it's a friend living there or a friend of a friend. Well, a great friend of mine vouched for him, and so I didn't run an application on him. Don't recommend you do that. Run an application, have a process, and have that same process for everyone, whether they're family, friends, friend of a friend, or somebody that found your listing on Zillow. Another reason that someone might not run an application would be if the tenant paid cash up front. And there's nothing wrong with receiving cash or getting paid 3 months or 6 months rent up front. There's nothing wrong with that. But you should not violate your process just because that's how the tenant is paying for their rent. And I'd recommend a little plug. See our video on tenant screening. Goes through our process in a fair amount of detail. Last mistake I want to cover today is not raising your rent to keep up with the market. I've been told by do-it-yourself landlords, I would never raise the rent while a tenant lives in the property. That's very kind, but that is your investment. So it's absolutely your choice to make. But we would recommend that you raise the rent to keep up with the market. We're not asking you to, crush the tenants that are in the property, but your taxes are going to increase, your insurance is going to increase, the cost of repairs is going to increase. So I'm filming this video at the end of 2024, and we've seen all 3 of those happen just in the last 2 years. So rental property owners are paying higher taxes, more insurance, and the cost of repairs has gone up significantly. So long-term tenants are great. If you have somebody in your property 2, 3, 4, even 5 years or more, that's fantastic. But if you never raise the rent, those years that your property is off market, when you get it back, there's going to be some expenses. You're going to have to do a unit turn. You may need new flooring. You may need a furnace or AC replacement at some point. If not then, at some point in the future. And so raising the rent to keep up with the market is reasonable, and we recommend that you do that, whether it's a 12-month tenant or somebody that's with you for 12 years. I hope this was helpful. Thanks. Make it a great day.